Okay, Pat. So you are with the Yorkton Terriers, and
I,
your guys' coach, Matt, insisted that you were the one I chatted with. So let's start off. What is your role within the organization of the Yorkton Terriers?
okay. Well, I started out as a board member. I'm now the vice president, and I'm also the billet coordinator.
Okay. And what is it about the Terriers that makes you, passionate enough that you want to, continue to be with them and develop your roles actually with the team?
Well, it actually started out with a player. My very first billet was actually a AAA player. I had him in 2008. He was a friend of my daughter's, needed a place to stay. I'll just point out I raised three girls that danced, no hockey players.
Yeah.
Um, and we just loved him. He was a great kid, and so when he transitioned to the Terriers, I just really felt that it was important to, show my support to him, let him know that I was interested in what he was doing, and so. I'm passionate about hockey. I love hockey. So it got me involved in going. And I think the best way to show that you're interested is to volunteer.
Yeah.
And so I began volunteering with the Terriers then. Um, I'm a retired principal, so school administrator. So of course, organization is a big thing to me, and so I love to help with things like that. So that got me interested. I've billeted now for 14 years. Love all of my boys like they're my own. We've just made family connections with not only the boys but with their families, and so that's a big part of it. The Terriers is, a lot of people don't know this, is a community-owned team. It's not a privately owned team. It's not a for-profit organization, and so if you don't have community members that step up and help, you don't have a team. And so that's a big piece of it as well. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, we had one of our former presidents, and I will just backtrack this a bit. I will say when I first joined this organization, I was encouraged to join. I did feel it was a bit of an old boys club. I'll be very honest about that. I did. I'm a doer, and so if I was going to be part of the organization, I wanted to be doing things. We had a president. Our previous president was Alan Sharp, and Alan was a super, super person. And so that's kind of where we started that whole role with the billet coordinator and making sure our homes were good places for these boys to be. We did our due diligence and did, criminal record check, vulnerable record checks with all of our billets. I think you look at, it doesn't really matter how old your boy or your child is when they leave home. You want to know that where they're going is safe, that they're cared for, that they're loved.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big part of it. And we're very proud of our billet families. They are also supportive of the team and just do whatever they can do to help out. And so I think for a parent sending your child to the Terriers, that alleviates a lot of
Oh,
stress for,
that would
yeah, for sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you
Yeah.
touched on how, it was a bit of an old boys club. And I find when sometimes when women step in to some of
Mhm.
these positions that have generally been held by men, or that they wonder, well, what does she know about hockey, or what can she bring to us?
Right.
Um, but I found there's a completely different aspect that a woman can bring that a man couldn't bring for me for different things. Like, kind of the way that I was able to connect with the players was the role of, I was a parent kind of on the road sometimes. And
Absolutely.
some of those players that, they didn't make the lineup that night. And you could just see the looks on their face where they were wanting to, the second you sat down there and talked to them as a parent, they have this other like mom figure on the road with them, changed
Mhm.
everything. And, there's
Right.
there's
Yeah.
some different things that you can do. And, I understand the old boys club thing very well as being, the first woman in the league to do play-by-play.
Yeah.
And it was very hard to kind of feel confident in it. But I actually found the more somebody challenged me, the more I was like, no, I'm going to show you wrong. Like, I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, I know this about this.
Yeah.
And oh, you missed that part. Well, you know
Yeah.
what? My relationship, I was
Yeah.
able to figure that out. So what would you say to someone in Yorkton who kind of feels a little intimidated, but is also very passionate about the community? Where would you encourage them to start? Would it be volunteering with the team? What something you
Absolutely. And I think that's a big piece of it. That's how I started. I think it's easy to sit back in the stands and wonder why they do things or why things are done a certain way. But I think once you start to get involved in the organization and you see just what all it involves, absolutely. Like I said, it's very easy to sit in the stands and to criticize and say, oh, I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know why they're losing money. I don't know why they're doing things that way. And so that's so important, and you have a feeling of self-gratification when you help. Like that's, like I said, I started it. I mean, with my own kids, I volunteered with organizations that they were involved in. And I think it sends a message that you are interested in what they're doing. And so I think that's important. And I think a lot of our billets do that. They'll help with selling 50-50. They help when we do fundraisers, and that sends a message. But, as far as community members, I think it's important that they understand that, like I said, it's a community-owned team. This is not for profit. If we didn't have the community and the fundraising, and we wouldn't have a junior A hockey team in Yorkton.
Yeah, and people forget that it is a business like that way. You need it to go around, and sometimes your decisions, they might be a little hard on your heart or things like that, but it has to be what's best for that club.
Yeah, I don't like to be around when camp's on. Don't like to see those sad faces.
Exactly.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. Like even here, trade deadline day, like we were recording a Taco Tuesday and the boys just said nothing. And, they go from so chatty all the time to like, you could just see the stress and the tension and the worry. And then as soon as deadline was over, they're like, okay, we can breathe. We can enjoy our meal that we just made. It's good. Like, so yeah, there's those things and you feel for them. But when you're behind the scenes, you also understand why things like that have to be done. So it is good for people to see that side of it. Now, what about your daughters? What do they think of you as a woman involved with SJ?
I will be very honest. I raised 3 girls to believe that they could do or be whatever they wanted to be. And so it wasn't gender-based at all. And so I think that's a huge part of it. My daughters often refer to the billets in this house as their billet brothers. Even daughters are now gone from home, they still have that connection. I've had a billet that taught my grandson how to skate, so that's what it is. When you come into our house, there's no hiding. You're part of the family, and that's just what it is. And so that's
great. Yeah.
We had a boy that we hadn't had for 5 years. Our entire family was invited to his wedding last summer. So, you just make connections for life. And I think if people saw that and felt that, it would be a lot easier to find billet homes. I understand it's difficult in the pandemic, but the connections you make are lifelong, And that, I had a daughter that went to the Alberta Ballet, and when we arrived there, Stampede weekend, they had no place for her to live. And I said, well, don't you have like billet families like you do in hockey? And they said no. And so we were able to find someone who was willing to take her. But I think at that point we just decided, you need to open your home to someone else then and kind of pay that forward for sure.
Yeah. And it is. And that, I love the pay it forward thing. Like, and that was the way we looked at it. We're like, you know what, we're a good family. We can have somebody, let's do it. And my husband was hesitant. And now he's kind of like,
his husband. My husband, 3 girls.
True. So yours probably was like, well, and now mine's outnumbered too. So, but I think for my husband, he's like, oh, well, they eat a lot, and they do. But now we have a 12-year-old who eats just as much. So our grocery bill was up anyways. Yeah. But yeah, it is. You just make these connections, and the connections that you can make with their mom and dad or their siblings, it's totally unique. And it's great. And, I know Yorkton is very lucky to have you there, Pat. It's so passionate and wanting to help out. And, and I think, people kind of forget too, like you guys must look for added billets when it does come to like camps and things like that.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. Like as I said, I enjoy working with the organization. We have, I said now, Corbin Neufeld is our president. He's such a wonderful man and such a hard worker. And our coaching staff, you just can't stand up about it. I think, if you had a son that was playing hockey and you looked around the league, Yorkton would be the place you would want to send them. Our coaching staff is wonderful. They're caring, they're compassionate. We as an organization, we try to make those boys fit in the community, get them involved in the schools, and just yeah, it's just a great place to be.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for your time and good luck this coming season. I know playoffs didn't go the way that you wanted, or some of us didn't want, but it was great to see you guys there, and best of luck next season.
All right. Well, thank you so much.